I have reported incidences of persisting child abuse to the appropriate authorities. When this problem continues to be ignored, it then becomes necessary to have to report this to the President. I remember an occurrence of child abuse that I observed around the time of 2002. I thought it was very peculiar and disturbing at the time. This is something that becomes my duty to have to report. This is just one such example of the child abuse that happens to autistic children and is being ignored by all of the levels of government. Not being able to find any local autistic adult support group in the local area where I live, the only support group available is a parent-run autism support group that continues to be run and dominated by mothers of young autistic children. I remember something disturbing that happened at one particular meeting. The meeting is an Autism Society of America chapter that was being held at the Jewish Community Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania, at the address of 702 North 22nd Street. There was a mother of a daughter with Asperger's syndrome who was going to a public high school. She was concerned that guys would take advantage of her daughter. She said she wanted to get her daughter sterilized. Did he say what I think he said? Are you awake now? I'll repeat it. A mother of a daughter with Asperger's syndrome said that she wanted to get her daughter sterilized. I think it would be illegal to do this to a minor. The only way I can see this happening is when the daughter is an adult. The mother would coerce the daughter to consent to this procedure. Here is a mother that said she was concerned that guys would take advantage of her daughter, and yet at the same time this mother would take advantage of her own daughter. This is a person who is intellectually intelligent and would be taken seriously if she consented to sterilization, and no one would question the fact that the person lacks some social intelligence and could be coerced into consenting to doing something that would be self-destructive. When a parent bullies their own child, this is real child abuse. When this bullying is in the form of emotional and psychological abuse, the resulting damage is without physical injury and scars. There are no laws for child abuse when the abuse results in being emotionally traumatic. There has to be laws that will protect a child from being bullied by the parent. There has to be laws that will protect autistic adults from continuing child abuse. There are existing laws that specify what is illegal to do. There are existing laws that specify what is illegal to do to a child. As soon as the child becomes an adult, the parent of an autistic child can coerce the adult child into signing a consent form to be sterilized. At the present time, this would all be perfectly legal for the parent, the medical industry, and the insurance company that would pay for it. This is just one example of why there has to be laws to protect autistic adults from continued child abuse. Another example of abuse is the lack of peer support and social groups for autistic adults. There is neglect in providing autistic adults protection from continued bullying by the parent, society, and the government. Autistic adults have a lot of needs to have their civil rights protected. If a law is made that will extend child abuse protection for autistic adults, such a law should not in any way take away any of their freedoms and civil liberties they are entitled to as adults. The Jewish Community Center cared only about the mothers that are running that meeting. They don't care at all about the children the mothers are abusing. I am Jewish, so it is okay for me to say this. When Jews don't care about when a girl is forced to be sterilized, then they have adopted a Nazi mentality. Sterilization was Hitler's initial plan. Then he decided to speed things up by killing them. Groups like Autism Speaks don't say a word about bullying and civil rights. Their website has photos of young children and parents of young children. When that child becomes an adult, they don't do a damn thing about how that person is treated in a society that is brainwashed to treat autistic people as second-class citizens. I don't have a psychological problem. I have a physical difference that has to be accepted. I keep saying that my brain is wired in a different way that is like Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla. I don't suffer from autism, I suffer from bullying. Even when an autistic person becomes an adult at the age of 18, the parent continues to say they are in a state of grieving. They are grieving the loss of a normal child. The parent puts on a really good act of love when they do everything to try to change that child into their perception of what a normal child is supposed to be. There is no acceptance. A child has to be safe from bullying even when it is done by their own parent. No parent should ever be allowed to force their child to change and then use the excuse they are doing it out of love. Autism Speaks is all about listening to the parents and the family of the autistic child. Politicians listen to the family and are ignoring the black sheep of the family. The autistic adult is left with a lot of psychological trauma from being bullied by their family their entire life. And I, as an autistic adult, am continuously told to go into psychiatric treatment and take medication by prejudiced, ignorant people that don't accept me because I am different. A lot has to be done to reverse the damage that parents have done to promote a twisted definition of autism. The parent spreads a lot of malicious lies about their child. The parent lies directly to the child throughout their entire life. When the child demonstrates any strengths, the parent twists it around and calls it a weakness. A parent bullies their child when they force that child to conform. There are some autism services that exist. I want to say specifically what is lacking in that. There is absolutely no existing peer support groups with other autistic adults that are similar to myself. I get a lot of misunderstanding. The Autism Services has absolutely no clue about the psychological trauma that results from being misunderstood and bullied by people just because I am different. Awareness has to be about being accepted in society. I have to be free to speak up about this without being persecuted by the police and the government. Today is June 20th, and it might be obvious that today's temperature is 100 degrees.